season. It's familiar faces recently: Mortensen, Billiter, Bauer, Little, Strong, Kemavor, and the libero from Hawaii, Ulu Ave. And then for Houston, Greaves, Shamitis, Paul, Ramon, Cook, Corelli, and Georgiadis.
And I think between these two lineups, like we said, it's going to be a battle at the net. Who is going to set this tempo early on and then just maintain that tempo, really controlling it here in the gym? Houston has to be getting their middles involved. We see their right side, usually Corelli, Shamitis, whoever's over there, a big presence. And it's a key for BYU. They've got to slow down that right side on the Houston side.
Andy Cook has first serve. BYU has never visited University of Houston in its illustrious volleyball history. First matchup inside Fertitta Center. BYU beat Houston last year in Provo. Out to Katie Corelli. Pole with the tip. Nice touch from the outside, Claire Little. She missed the Utah match last Friday. She played against UCF, and she's back again, nearing 4 kills per set.
And that's what we talk about, an outside pin, just being super smart. You're going in with that swing, but you see you've got Annie Cook in that right back position, so you're trying to take out that Houston setter with that tip.
Heather Olmstead in her 10th season as the women's head coach at BYU. Cher Strong, transfer from St. Mary's College, with a service error. Service errors have been a problem this season for BYU. More than 200 on the season. It's 50 more than they had all of last season, all of 2 years ago, and they still have 4 or 5 more matches left in the regular season.
And I'd say, too, on those service errors, it's really just trying to, push your opponent's serve receive. You can see a lot of them, like the last one there, going out deep in the back of the court, but overall still finding a way to keep that in. You don't want to give away those points.
Brielle Kemavor, 6'5", from Bristow, Virginia, and Colgan High School with the block against Angela Grieve.
And we said Kemavor is going to be a big presence in the middle. The Houston middle's Addison Poland right now, having to find a way to go around it. You can't just swing straight into her. She's great at sealing the net and just being a big presence up there.
Alex Bauer, freshman setter, serves. There's a dump from Cook. Beautifully done from the 5th-year senior.
And great job by Cook doing it early on here in this first set. I think sometimes she waits a little bit, but you always want to establish yourself as an offensive threat. BYU knowing now they got to stay true in their base before they release out.
Addison Pole serves. Tight set, block touch Houston. Katie Corelli down the line, no touch. It's an error for Corelli.
And I'd say a rare error. I mean, she usually has a great view of the court. You could tell she's trying to go deep down that line, just out there, but I don't anticipate they're going to shy away from her. They're probably going to go back to Corelli on this next play.
Claire Little, 6'3" outside from Winchester, California, and Vista Marietta High School. Ramon, great extension. She jumped a little early, but still produced a kill.
And I think, too, that's just being an athletic middle. Even if you've got that timing off, you still have to find ways to get that swing off. And you see there, like you mentioned, Matt, a little bit early on that connection, but overall getting Ramon involved is what they need.
Alana Torres Rivera back to serve. Grew up in Puerto Rico, went to high school at Dawson in Pearland on the south side of Houston. Once they've gone to a 5-1 system, she has earned more playing time in the back row. Houston started the season in a 6-2. Andy Cook shared the setting duties with Rebecca Roccasin. Torres Rivera with the serve. Back to the outside for an angled swing. Ellie Mortensen, a freshman from Draper, Utah, and Corner Canyon High School.
And I want to highlight Kima Moore there, too. She's running hard in the middle for the BYU Cougars, really trying to pull that block. You can see Ramon staying a little bit and late to release, just creating that open gap in the block for Mortensen.
Lulu Uluave, the libero from Hawaii, with the service error. They've had a pipeline from Hawaii for many years at BYU. She is the latest from the town of Laie, Hawaii, and Punahou School. Big responsibility for the freshman libero with 3 digs per set. Angela Grieve serves. There's a tip. A lot of tips in the early going from BYU. That's another one from Ellie Mortensen.
And I'd say, too, this is a point that Houston has to adapt to that. Seeing that the outside pins for BYU, they're pushing that tip there. Right now, you've got Annie Cook in the front. Torres Rivera has to be able to swing up and grab that, or Shemidas on the outside.
Hannah Billiter serves. Cook for Ramon. Block touch BYU. Off the hands, another kill from Mortensen, who comes from a BYU volleyball family. Her mom, Nina, her aunt, Karina, both played volleyball at BYU.
And I'd say here, BYU just really running the offensive tempo. They're in system. They're getting a lot of just scramble plays from Houston. Houston just unable to really keep up defensively on that swing there from Mortensen.
Shemidas, good hang time for her first kill. Avery Shemidas got the start against Utah on Wednesday. Looked very good in the early stages. She gets another start today. She's been battling Ashlyn Bellamy for that outside hitter position. Georgiadis, a deep float serve. Up from Alana Torres Rivera. Angle kill from Shemidas.
And I'd say big dig there from Torres Rivera. I mean, that's the first slide we've seen all set so far. And I think, too, the slide can be effective coming off a strong, but being able to kind of defend that, show that you're going to get that ball up, BYU has to think differently on how they run their middles.
Shemidas began her career at Pepperdine, now in her first season at Houston. BYU out of system with an errant first pass. Slide play for Pohl. Does not come off. Trying to get Pohl, the freshman from Waddell, Arizona, connecting there with Annie Cook. Mortensen back to serve. That's an ace in that tough territory, in or out. Maybe she lets it go, maybe it's out, but Grieve tried the first contact.
And I'd say with Grieve, you can see defensively, serve, receive, she's struggling a little bit as far as being able to read the ball, getting her platform behind it, getting in the right positioning. I think she's going to have to find a way to kind of rebound here in this first set.
High hands there from Shemidas. Angled kill from Claire Little. Trained with the U.S. Women's Collegiate National Team last summer. And her brother, Ian, opposite hitter on BYU's men's volleyball team.
And I like, too, that she's just kind of had a journey with this outside position. Coach Olmstead saying, she's working on carrying that load, becoming that go-to pin for us. And today, I think so far, really just taking advantage of the opportunities she's seeing in this Houston block on the outside pin.
Effective from Shemidas off speed. BYU did not react to the 10-foot line.
And I think, too, you can see Little kind of looking at Strong, both of them off, but, no communication there on picking up that tip.
Annie Cook back to serve. Probably Houston's best server. She can serve to 5 different zones. She tunnels it well. You don't know where it's going to the last moment. That one's right down the line. That's probably her favorite spot to serve. Strong arm from Little. Up from Georgiadis. Shemidas right through the block. She is on fire here in set 1.
And this is what Coach Ware wants out of Shemidas. She has ebbed and flowed all season. When she's kind of down, she's struggling. But right now, she's ripping off swings, and that's what Houston needs to challenge this BYU defense.
Up to 2 kills per set for Avery Shemidas. Cook right down the line again. And there's a block. First of the day, Katie Corelli with Addison Pohl.
And I love that Corelli's getting fired up there. And I think it's just a different view for Little. Little is doing a lot better when Annie Cook is at the net. But now she has to realize she's got Corelli up there. Definitely a better blocker on the right side for Houston.
She grew up in Utah, was not recruited by Utah or BYU. She's extra motivated this week. Slide play there. Cheristry Strong, first season after transferring from St. Mary's.
And that's what we talk about, that slide just being super effective out of the middle, and Houston being able, trying to find ways to frustrate Strong there. But overall, I think that line shot is just a great shot for her.
Macy Short in. She's a DS from Middleton, Idaho. She's a junior, and she serves here off the tape. Corelli setting for Shamitis. There's a dump. Good eye vision there from the freshman setter, Alex Bauer.
And like we said, setters getting involved, that's a key part of this first set. That means Houston now, they have to respect Bauer. Keep eyes on her first before you're going to release out and have your footwork to your pins or the middle.
Deep roll shot just long from Shamitis. Houston out of system with that first contact from Grieve.
And I'd say, too, on that pass, you know, Houston not doing a terrible job in serve receive, but needing to kind of just tighten it up a little bit. Annie Cook needing more three-option passes to really run all three hitters at the net.
Off the tape, Grieve picked it up. Cook, a tough set there for Corelli. Well read by the setter. Bauer went a long way to get it. Cook out to Shamitis with the tip. Addison Pohl first to respond.
A great job by Addison Pohl. I mean, we talk about the role of a middle is you have to be ready at the net. And she is working hard, pushing on that block, getting up in transition, but taking those overpasses and getting a point is key for them.
Lily Barron, excellent server. She was a sixth rotation outside to start the season. She suffered a lower body injury. Since that point, unable to jump. She's a back row DS and serving specialist. But I think a piece for the future in this rebuilding Houston program. She looked very good in the front row before the injury.
And I like to, Coach Rare said in our call this week, you know, Lily Barron, she could have hung up the jersey for this year, really focused on recovery and rehab, but she said no, she wants to be in practice, she wants to be in the games where she can, and he is super impressed by just that tough mentality there.
Good adjustment midair there from Brielle Camavor. The set was slightly off, but the sophomore out of Colgan High School in Virginia adjusted well. Camavor hitting .346 on the season. Corelli just long. BYU hitting .389 here in this first set. Alex Bauer back to serve. Cook for Grieve. Tip from Grieve. Just in. Excellent placement from Claire Little. BYU hitting over 400 in set one. First ever visit to University of Houston for the BYU Cougars. First kill from Ellie Mortensen.
Volleyballer. Mom went to BYU. Her brother plays on the men's team. So that's where that deep passion for competing, for winning comes from. It's in the family business. And you can tell she's in it to win it and still trying to figure out her game. She had a couple weeks where she hasn't done a ton, so she's still trying to find her footing. But Coach Homestead, they could see that progress against UCF. So they're hoping she gets more comfortable here tonight against Houston.
Now 4 kills on 12 swings. Her brother Ian, an outside hitter for BYU men's volleyball. 4 straight points for the BYU Cougars. That one floated out from the freshman setter, Alex Bauer. Kennedy Bray comes in to serve. We've seen her at times in the last few matches come in to serve. A chance for her just beyond the baseline as she went to the back corner.
And you can see there, too, you know, Coach Rare not very happy with that service error right now. This is what Houston needs. They have to start putting pressure on this BYU serve receive.
Claire Little in to serve. And that's an error. A young team with a lot of errors this season. BYU from the serving line, more than 200. They serve aggressively, but can be error-prone at times. Both teams trade errors. Alana Torres Rivera back to serve for Houston. Pushed wide, no touch. Mortensen tried to hit the hand. She could not. Houston hitting .043 here in set one. BYU's at .318. Houston just seems to be lacking that sharpness in defense and serve receive.
I definitely feel like in defense, they're kind of looking to see who's going to go for the ball. There's not really much take charge other than Kate Georgiadis. That's who we expect it from. But I think overall, even the pins between Grieve, Barron, Torres Rivera in the backcourt too, there's just not that sense of urgency, and I want to get that dig.
Angela Grieve with an angled swing. BYU is into the net. A point for Houston. Grieve is carrying a very heavy load at the moment. You have to wonder how fresh she is after 5 seasons. The load she has here is the largest she ever had in her 5 seasons. Trying to finish her career strong. A good dig from Alana Torres Rivera, but she could not keep it in play. BYU gets its middles involved. Kate Pryor gets a break. Short stint there for a preseason All-Big 12 pick. Hannah Billiter, the lone Texan on this BYU roster, serves. Shamitis with an angled swing. Tip from Grieve. Off the hands for a kill. Credit to the libero, Lulu Uluave, the freshman from Hawaii, to keep that point alive for BYU.
And I'd say Uluave is doing a great job in the backcourt for BYU as far as just being scrappy, digging in on those big swings that we're seeing coming out of Shamitis and Grieve now. But overall, really frustrating these Houston pins.
Ellie Mortensen hitting 604 kills on 5 total swings. BYU well represented in Zion Fertitta Center today. Houston in a year of transition. Annie Cook, Kate Georgiadis in their final years of transition. It's a year of transition as well for BYU. Top 25 team for Heather Olmstead. But look at this youth movement. If you look at total attacks, who swings the most? 4 of the top 5 for BYU are underclassmen. They also have a freshman setter in Alex Bauer.
You're about who's in rhythm, who's doing well in practices. That's who's going to see the game time.
There's a bit more of the youth movements. And it also shows in the different lineups. 9 different lineups have been used, 12 different starters for BYU. The same lineup in 7 of the last 9 matches. But I also think you have preseason all Big 12 picks. Kate Pryor, she's played 58 of 91 sets. Mia Lee, also preseason all Big 12. And she has played 15 of 91 sets. Preseason all Big 12, not necessarily guaranteed starters. Olmstead is still trying to figure out her best lineup.
And I think, too, that just kind of goes to show the battle in the positions for BYU. You know, at the end of the day, who is going to be the top dog in those positions and getting it done out on the court during match time?
Another kill for Ellie Mortensen. Let's go back to the court with Brooke Kirchhoffer.
Yeah, just listened in on BYU's timeout. Head coach Heather Olmstead keeping the message kind of simple. We need to keep the energy up, play defense behind the ball, watch the setter, pass our serves, and just focus on us. She's happy with how they're playing so far.
Shamitis with a roll. Houston has no answer right now for Ellie Mortensen, the outside on the left side from Draper, Utah.
And I'd say Bauer doing a great job on that tight pass, pulling Ramon in towards her, just really creating that open net for Mortensen there.
Mortensen, 6 kills on 7 swings. Those are middle hitter numbers for an outside, and Houston goes to Rebecca Rockison at setter. It's a break here for Annie Cook. Deep serve, it's another ace. Angela Grieve couldn't handle it. Excellent serve there from the McKinney, Texas native Hannah Billiter.
And you can see, too, Houston making these interset adjustments as far as having Rockison in, but also Juliana Dalton on the right side, knowing they need a bigger block against these BYU pins.
That one floats too long. Billiter, 32 aces this season. She had 34 last year, second most on BYU. The lone Texan on this BYU roster has played every set this season. Kate Georgiadis back to serve. And that's it. It hits the baseline for Georgiadis.
And what a great serve there from Georgiadis. It does kind of look, I think if I was in serve receive, I may think that's going out of bounds as well. But last second dropping on that back line, just a beautiful serve there.
Houston's first ace of set one. Slide play. And that's a point for BYU. It did not seem like Houston touched that. It seemed like it just hit the net and bounced back, like maybe 4 touches for BYU.
You know, I didn't really get a good angle on that ball per se, but I would say commenting on, you know, Juliana Dalton's swing there, I think she has to come into this match knowing she's got to put up aggressive swings. You can't just be placing those little off shots straight into this BYU block.
Set point BYU. Shamitis heavy arm. And a block ends it for BYU. That's the setter, Alex Bauer, combining there with the middle, Cherry Song. And BYU an emphatic first set victory. They won in Orlando on Wednesday. They take set one in Houston today, 25-16.
Houston could have taken advantage of as far as going on point runs. So I think they really need to hone in on those here in this second set.
Annie Cook returns. She got a break at the end for Rebecca Rockeson, fifth-year senior from the Woodlands College Park High School. You hear the words like OG, the Rocks thrown around for Kate Georgiadis, 17 in the crimson and white, and then Kate Georgiadis, number 18. They're very good friends. They've carried this program from the American into the Big 12. They will be tough to replace next season.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about just wrapping up an era with these two. They are a dynamic duo, and we say the libero and setter positions, crucial roles on a team, and it's going to definitely be tough to fill their shoes.
Corelli off speed off the hands. And she picks up her first kill on her 6th swing today.
And that's what we talk about, just being strategic with your off shots. You have to see where is BYU plays defensively, and you've got to go around that, make them start moving for those emergency defensive moves.
Ashlyn Bellamy into serve. She's been an outside hitter. She's had some bright spots this season. There's a service error. Redshirt freshman from Lee's Summit, Missouri. And here's Ellie Mortensen back to serve. She was an excellent basketball player in high school as well. Corner Canyon High School in Utah. Slide play, back corner found by Cherry Strong.
And Strong doing a great job on that slide. We've seen her hit down the line there. It's that deep corner. And, you know, yet again, the Houston defense trying to kind of see who's going to fall into that seam to get a touch on that ball.
Off speed from Grieve. Angle right on the 10-foot line from Katie Corelli.
And I love that from Katie Corelli. This is what Houston needs. They need someone to take charge at the net. We can see so far here in this second set, Corelli finding ways to get points.
Okay, Georgiadis preparing to serve. Grew up in College Station, went to College Station High School, 1 season at TCU. And now in the 4th year at Houston. Off the hand, slide, play, kill, Cherry Strong. She gets a break. She's been an excellent addition to the team. 2.2 kills per set, hitting .319 after coming over from St. Mary's. Angela Grieve off the hands for a kill.
Even Coach Olmstead getting in there, getting the touch, the dig off of that. But, you know, I think Grieve doing a great job trying to just find her rhythm here. We said in the first set she's struggling defensively and in serve receive. But I think if she can just find a way, she doesn't have to rip off big, powerful swings. But like that tool there, just finding ways to be terminal on that outside for Houston.
Rebecca Rockeson in to serve. A service error. Houston hurting itself today with the service errors, untimely times. Rockison goes for it. We normally see that top spin jump serve. That was a different look from Rebecca Rockison.
I mean, she's switched up her serve we've seen throughout the season. Like you said, the more velocity on the ball we've seen off of her top spins. But I think today, Houston doesn't have space to really air her out at that service line.
Angle from Angela Grieve. She's heating up here in set 2.
And I'd say great job by Grieve beating out the BYU block there. They're a little bit slow to get up on her, but she's able to speed up her arm swing, really just beating them out.
Grieve now has 3 kills on 8 swings. And there's an ace. Little thought it was out. It dropped inside the baseline.
And I like to Little looking behind her shoulder and then turning around and pointing to the ground saying that's in. I mean, I think she even recognizes that was a great serve off of Grieve.
Similar spot from Grieve. Little off the hands, one hand pick up. And Pohl could not quite keep it in. Georgiades slow to her feet, checked on by her teammates. And Grace Little, like a freshman and a half is the description for Little, as we see that one hand pickup. Officially a sophomore, but her freshman season was cut short due to injury. And there's a service error. Six service errors for BYU. Georgiades gets a break. Addison Poland to serve. Off the hands, a tool kill for Ellie Mortensen.
And I like seeing Ellie Mortensen on this side. She's a little bit closer to us in this second set, so we have a better view there. But overall, really just seamless in her approach. She's getting that space, she's seeing the court well, and able to just tool off of Barkat Ramon there.
Lulu Ave with the serve. Grieve kept it off the floor. Thank you. A freshman libero out of Puanhu School in Hawaii. Grieve and Rockison both went for that. Now BYU hitting .471 today. Hard to beat a team when the opponent is hitting it nearly at 500.
And I'd say it's just little out-of-system plays like the one before we're in now. Bellamy not getting a swing off, sending over free balls. Those are times when you want to put a swing at BYU, and you want to make them challenge and think about it on defense and how they're going to run their offense.
Annie Cook goes back in to serve. Rockison gets a break alongside Chamidas. Front row has Corelli, Bellamy, and Barkat Ramon. And Grieve in the back row with Kate Georgiades. Houston much better offensively here in set 2. 4 kills on 9 swings, hitting .444. High hands for Mortensen. Tip from Corelli. Bellamy is blocked. It's Kate Pryor, preseason All-Big 12, junior from Henderson, Nevada.
And Pryor doing a great job on the right side. I mean, Coach Olmstead said, this is a little bit new to her. She's been on the outside. We've transitioned her over to the right side. But I think so far today, being a dominant force defensively, but also being able...
Jump from Cook. Excellent pickup. Uluave. And that finds the back row. Houston got sucked up. Back row was vacant and found by BYU.
And I think, too, defensively, like we said, Houston just being a little slow to roll today, even on, points like this, still trying to find that ball, get to it, even if you got a layout, trying to get a touch on it.
Hannah Billeter went to McKinney Boyd High School in Texas. Now in her 3rd season with BYU, she's back to serve. She had an ace earlier, over 30 aces on the season. Forced a tough first contact from Grieve. Up from Cook. Tough to stop. Cher stays strong. Fifth-year middle from Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I mean, Houston's getting touches on this slide, but nothing like we saw in the first set off of that first swing, really having a quality touch. And I think here it's just positioning, really being able to get that block lined up on that slide play, but then your defense falling in behind it.
Back to Corelli. And Corelli keeping Houston in this, 3 kills on 10 swings. Now Houston has to slow down this BYU attack. Incredible, no errors on 9 swings in set 2. 6 kills. BYU hitting .667 in this set.
And I would say, too, for BYU, like we talked about, you know, it's a lot of younger faces out on the court, but they're in it and they are taking care of business at the net.
Juliana Dalton with a service error. Gives it back to BYU. Mortensen will serve. AVCA High School All-American last year. 4 siblings. 4-time All-State in basketball at Corner Canyon High School in Utah. Tough serve. Little from the 10-foot line.
And on this swing here, Claire Little just doing a great job beating out even Kate Georgiadis there. You can see moving a little bit inward. She's trying to take that seam, but Little hitting just in that left back sharp cross shot.
Oh, BYU coming to its sideline as Houston calls time. Cher stays strong. First season at BYU after coming over from St. Mary's College. The 5th-year middle, unstoppable now on the right side.
Knew how to talk strategy and keep you calm. And another one of my teammates said, I loved watching film with him. He would always commentate. He'd start off in a world, deep, cool, and calm, collected voice like a movie trailer. And I could say that too. I wasn't a key person on film, but Coach Height really got me into it.
Great stuff, Natalie. Love hearing about the history of these coaches, including Coach Height, now at BYU. Take us into those film sessions. Take us inside volleyball. What are those film sessions like?
Yeah, so I mean, at least with Coach Height when he was here, I will say he had a bit of a closet office. It was pretty tiny, and you see him on the side. He's a pretty tall guy, but we would sit in there with him, and he was great about just kind of breaking down the previous match, breaking down practices as well, pointing out just, you know, opportunities for improvement. And that's what I really liked about him was, you know, it wasn't necessarily criticisms, but hey, here's what you missed. Here's what let's focus on in this next practice. And I think a lot of our attackers appreciated that as well.
Tip from Grieve. A pancake there. But a point for the Cougars. Half short, kept it off the ground. When you look at film, as you were a libero, was it more of your work as a libero or more of the opposing hitters they're going to face in the upcoming game?
So it was a combination of both. I mean, I can hear the reel in my head of, Keck, you have to get stopped, because I had a tough time of always wanting to cheat, trying to read out, but the key is being stopped there. But yeah, I mean, when you're going up different opponents, and we talked about this with both Coach Rare and Coach Olmstead, you know, the landscape of the Big 12 is changing. You need to know who you're going to be defending against, and that's different every single match. So it's important to look at the attackers you're coming up against as well.
And just for our volleyball audience, getting stopped, does that mean set your feet, get your platform ready?
Yeah, I mean, getting stopped, so we talk about starting in the base. So that's that 10-foot line for the backcourt defenders. You start in your base, and as the play is going on, you're transitioning. Is it going to the middle? Is it going to the pin? What is my footwork to adjust on that attacker? But before the attacker swings, you want to get stopped to make your move.
A 15-12, we've seen Houston use a 5-1 system most of the time since the Baylor match. We look back at this last play. a challenge on the serve. An opportunity to ask you about this switch from Coach Rare. It appears like he's gone back to a 6-2 with Rebecca Rockison sharing the duties with Cook. What do you guess they're hoping to get out of the 6-2 in this match?
I think, running the 6-2 is just providing a bigger block on the right side so it gets the BYU outsides. I mean, Annie Cook doing a great job, but at the end of the day, Little and Mortensen are doing awesome. And so you've got to put someone like Dalton out there that's putting up just a bigger block in their face.
You see in or outs?
I think from that previous angle we saw, it looked like it was just out.
I agree. A service ace for Rebecca Rockison. Coach Rare, this rebuilding season of 2024. Another look there. Indisputable evidence to overturn it. Successful challenge, BYU. It's an error for Rockison, nearly an ace. Let's go back to the floor with Brooke Kirchhoffer.
We talked to Coach Rare this week about his thoughts about the Big 12 not having a volleyball conference tournament. He said it really depends on the position you're in at the end of the season. He said last year we wouldn't have wanted one because when you're a top seed, all that does is cause you trouble. But in their case this year, it would arguably help if they did have a conference tournament and were able to go on a little bit of a run.
Grieve is blocked. Excellent work from Cade Pryor. And I think if you ask every coach, they have a different opinion. I think the top seeds view it as a risk of injury, a risk of a loss at the wrong time for Houston. They would love to have a tournament in the Big 12 this year.
And I think, too, for Houston, the beneficial part of having a tournament would be it's something to look forward to. I mean, you're trying to play match by match, but at the end of the day, if you still kind of have that second chance in a tournament run, it just gives you something else to work towards.
Houston hitting .080 today. BYU's at .444. You see David Rare's history, 6th year as the head coach. Picked up his 650th career win. 2 junior college national championships at Blinn Junior College. He went to Arkansas State. Great success there. And he's really revitalized this Houston program that was in a great spot, but from about the year 2000 till he took over, did not make the NCAA tournament. So when he got them back, it had been nearly 20 years without an NCAA tournament appearance. This program has a lot of proud history, but about a 2-decade lull before he came back.
And I'd say, too, it's not the end of that. It's just, like we said, a rebuild year of you're kind of transitioning from, the early David Rare days, wrapping up the American Conference, moving into the Big 12. And I think it's going to be a new era of Houston in the Big 12 these next few years. And like we talked about, the Utah match, their 2025 recruiting class being one of the top ones. I think overall here in Houston this year in the 2024 season, it's focusing on, hey, how do we try to come back in this second set, take out BYU, and just keep moving forward match by match to finish up conference.
Alex Bauer, the freshman setter, serves. Houston Musain over the nets. Up official shakes his head, and it's a point for Angela Grieve and the Cougars.
And you can see all smiles there from Grieve coming off of that swing. I think that's what she needs. She needs these little shots, pushing it in, getting those points, just start building that confidence back and slowly get to being more aggressive on the outside pin for Houston.
Dalton, Pohl, and Chemaitis in the front row. Rockison, Georgiadis, and Grieve in the back row for Houston. Good swing from Chemaitis. Her 6th kill today.
And I'd say Chemaitis being a big impact player today. We've seen her on the right side. We've seen her on the outside pin for Houston. She's really kind of been the plug and play, but overall finding ways to get points at the net for the Cougars.
Angela Grieve back to serve. And a service error. BYU has 6 service errors. Houston has 5. Kaylia Thernstrom serves for the first time today. Dalton hits the antenna with her touch. Thernstrom back to serve again. Her first points today. A senior from Marietta, California. Previously at Utah State. And that's Sales. Service error. Addison Pohl to serve for the Cougars. And she'll hand the ball to Lily Barron, who comes in. One freshman for another. Barron out of Olentangy Orange High School, Lewis Center, Ohio. Ramon asks for it, and she gets it from Rockeson.
And I love that afterwards, that big high five to Rockeson, kind of getting in her face almost, but just knowing, you know, she wants that ball. And I think, too, like we said, Ramon being one of the more athletic middles in the Big 12, if she's up in transition, she is hard to stop.
So moisture on the floor will give Barron a breather, give Houston a chance to huddle up a bit. Houston hitting 250 here in set 2, but BYU has been low error. Only 1 error for BYU on 16 swings. BYU hitting 500 in set 2, 444 for the match. Let's go back down to Brooke for more on Lily Barron, who just had another ace.
Yeah, it's huge to have Lily Barron back from injury for Houston. She's an outside hitter, only a freshman. As we know, she came back for the Baylor match dealing with an ankle injury, and she's still dealing with it now, moving around pretty gingerly. Coach said that she's basically a defensive specialist right now, but they need her in the back row, and he said her serving ability is elite, as we have seen, and she's a decent defender in the back. There are some limitations, of course, with that ankle injury, but she wants to stay in and push through.
Averaging half an ace per set. She had a prolific set at SMU, 4 aces at East Texas A&M, 6 against Ole Miss. That's 14 in a 3-match span.
And I'd say, too, Lily Barron, you know, if she's on the court, she is an impact player. Even though she's not at the net, I mean, Coach Rare has talked highly of her passing, highly of her defense. You know, they're hoping she can get back to, you know, full 6 rotation. But I think overall, having her in the match does kind of help bring this energy back. I mean, we can see going into this timeout, Coach Caitlin Nolan, she had a lot of fire in her getting that point, that service ace. I think that's what they're trying to find right now. Who's going to really just fire this Houston team up? You're kind of slowly digging back into this second set, so really keep this momentum.
It was 19-11 BYU, but Houston has 5 straight points to make it 19-16. BYU 19 digs, 15 for Houston. BYU has 7 blocks, Houston with 2. You see the hitting percentage numbers. Big edge for BYU at 400 today. BYU 22 kills, 18 for Houston. Barron back to serve. Can she continue this 5-0 scoring run for Houston? Into the corner, slightly long. It sailed just a bit. Ulu Ave, the freshman out of Laie, Hawaii. Rockeson was into the net. It's a point for BYU. First pass was slightly long from Grieve.
And, you know, definitely tough points. This is what we're talking about, these little errors from Houston that they have to find a way to eliminate. It's just slowly helping BYU take out this second set.
Ulu Ave serves again. Shamidas with the tip. Block touch BYU. Not the cleanest contact from Pryor, a point for Houston.
And I'd say, too, I mean, even though BYU not getting that point, Pryor hustling on that play. She came all the way over to the left side, picking up that tip, doing a big roundabout, getting back to her position on the right front. And so overall, ending in that error. But she is definitely hustling hard for this BYU defense right now.
Dalton now in the front row with Corelli and Ramon. Back row is Grieve, Georgiadis, and Cook, who serves. Tough serve from Cook. Dalton with the tip. Out of system point for Houston.
And great placement there by Dalton. I mean, we see just gingerly putting it right over the block. Super tough there for Mortensen to try and pull up and get a touch on that.
Juliana Dalton started at Pitt. She was one of the biggest prospects coming out of high school in Colorado. Went to Chaparral High School. Ramon asked for it. She got it again. It's up from Claire Little. Will they go back to Ramon? Back set Corelli. Block touch. Tip Corelli. Grieve from the back row. BYU is into the net. It's a point for Houston now, 21-19.
And I'd say that's a pretty big point for Houston here. Really just enduring that rally, causing a little bit of chaos on the BYU side, but just ultimately getting that point from Grieve out of the backcourt. Huge point here.
A very important point. Some feel like they're worth more than one. That one did.
Yeah, and I'd say, too, I mean, I was thinking as this second set's going on, I mean, Houston doesn't need to forget that, yes, you have a lot of freshmen, sophomores on this BYU side. They're athletic and they are really good, but, you know, you've got that upperclassman leadership. If you can get your offense going, I think you can disrupt this BYU team a little bit. And I've noticed that from Claire Little in the backcourt when she's in serve receive, and she's a target for this Houston.
Ramon is getting more vocal. We heard her from our broadcast assistant ask for that set multiple times. If Houston can get Ramon more involved, it's going to help keep BYU more honest to the pins.
Yeah, I mean, when you're watching your middle, you have to stick there first before you release out on your block. And so Barkat Ramon really just getting her involved. She's got to get those swings to really keep those middles honest. But as soon as she's getting those swings, that means those middles stick with her as long as she's selling her approach, selling her transition every single time at the net.
Ramon has 6 swings today, 2 kills. Grieve has 6. Shamitis has 6. Corelli with 3. On the BYU side, Ellie Mortensen leads the way with 8 kills. We haven't called her name in a while, but she's hitting .500 today. Little and Strong, 5 kills each. Cook back to serve. 3 straight points led to the BYU timeout. Tough serve again from Cook. Deep tip. Corelli is blocked. It hits her on the way down. It's a point for BYU. Ramon. She'll get it more and more here from Annie Cook.
And I like seeing that swagger out of Barkat Ramon in the middle. This is what we talked about. Houston getting their middles going early on, but, you know, even here in the second set, it makes a huge difference. And BYU right now not having an answer to defend it.
Dalton serves. Little from the back row. Corelli with the push tip. An attacking error from Mortensen. BYU just does not seem like it has its offensive rhythm. They're hitting 300 for the day, but if you just walked in and watched the last few points, you'd be surprised by that number.
And I'd say BYU right now looking a little shaken. I mean, not totally, off their game, but, we're seeing more hitting errors here in the last few points than we have all match. And I think that's because Houston finally finding their offensive rhythm.
BYU is tipping a lot. Houston is swinging away. That's another kill for Katie Corelli. And Houston has come all the way back to tie it 22-22.
And I like this too. You see Coach Olmstead on the sideline getting very vocal, just, cheering her team on, trying to just encourage them, knowing, they've got this. You've got to find a way to side out here.
Slide play. There's the full swing. Shersty Strong, the Pennsylvania native in her first season with BYU. Ellie Mortensen back to serve. 23-22, BYU leading. Corelli off the hands. Tied at 23. Georgiadis nearing 2,500 career digs. A walk-on at TCU. Now one of the best liberos in the country. That is consensus from every coach we talk to. Up from Georgiadis. Slide play. Block touch from Addison Pohl. Heavy arm from Little, her most important swing tonight.
And you can definitely see the BYU bench, the coaching staff is ecstatic about that swing. I mean, I think that's what they want to see out of BYU right now is you have to battle. Houston's turned it on. They've got this home crowd going. Overall, you're going to have to pull it out, and you have to be terminal on every single point at the net.
Set point BYU. Macy Short from Middleton, Idaho into serve. Tip Corelli, pancake from Billiter. Angela Grieve off the hands. Grieve off the hands again. It's a duel, and it's 24-24.
And I like that back-to-back to Grieve. I mean, working her hard, but she's finding ways to get those points. The BYU block having to go back and forth. We're talking about footwork there, but that second time just beating them out and being able to tool off down that line.
Rebecca Rockison in to serve. BYU led 19-16 here in set two. Dump attempted there by Bauer. Full arm from Grieve. Grieve down the line.
And this is what we talked about. Grieve was going to have to perform tonight, putting up those points at the net in order for Houston to start taking this set and changing the tide. And that's what we're seeing here. And I think she's growing confident, being able to find just those different shots and locations on the BYU defense.
Rockison serves on set point for Houston. Push tip, beautiful shot from Claire Little. She found the spot right between Rockison and Dalton.
And I like to, this is a fun set. I like the fight back and forth. Both teams kind of have that swagger after they're getting those points. And ultimately, overall, I think we're in for a couple long rallies here in these next few points.
Freshman Alex Bauer, the setter, serves. Shamitis. Full arm from the 10-foot line from Claire Little. Tip from Grieve. Block touch BYU. Shamitis and Georgiadis colliding right in front of us. Look at the fight from both these teams. Pull into the nets. BYU back in front.
And this is what we're talking about, all-out defense going on both sides here. Players colliding, out-of-system plays, but overall, lots of great volleyball, great touches going on. I think, in this next point, is BYU really going to be able to just, kind of even keel, put on an aggressive serve, and take this set from Houston.
Another set point for BYU. Alex Bowers serving. Houston had its own set point in this second set. Grieve off the hands. Full arm Shamitis. Little through the block. Tip from Grieve. Shamitis through the block, and it's 26-26.
And great job by Shamitis there. I mean, that's what Coach Rare wants out of her. Going up, not being afraid to swing. You've got to find it and fight through that BYU block in those hands.
A tense second set inside Fertitta Center. Little full arm off the chest of Angela Grieve. Dalton off the block. Houston's back in front.
And I like, too, what we're seeing, Little not backing down on the BYU side. I mean, she is just absolutely ripping on these swings right now. But Georgiada's there every single time, getting those quality digs, and Houston just being able to get those final points.
One of those digs was Angela Grieve off the chest. She is now serving on set point in set two. Good serve from Grieve. Back to Little. She swings away again. 27 all. Now Little catching her breath before serving. Little now has 8 kills, tied with Mortensen for the BYU lead. Hammer dropped the freshman Ellie Mortensen.
And Ellie Mortensen, like we said, having a great day on this outside pin, being able to beat out Addison Pohl. Overall, Houston needing to find a way to really just be able to defend on that block when there's gaps there.
9 kills on 20 swings, set point. BYU. Little serves, overpass. And BYU takes set 2. Pushed to the brink. Houston had 2 set points with its serve, but in the end, BYU hangs on.
And I like the energy at the end of this second set. I mean, great game by both sides, but overall, I mean, coaching staff getting involved on BYU, everybody just really happy with that fight going on there. Crowd involved, the players are involved. I mean, I almost wanted to say in that second set, reminder, it's just the second set. It's not even match point, but that's what it felt like, and I love that.
I would agree. It felt like the 5th set, and Claire Little's will to win was very impressive. She carried BYU in the last few points. Here she is swinging away, and she gives BYU the first point of set 3.
And I'd say for Claire Little, too, I mean, that's what we talk about, having freshmen, but just kind of having those fresh legs. I mean, we've kind of said the differences between, a 5th-year senior, a freshman, just how many reps you're really able to put in. And as a freshman, you haven't had that wear and tear yet of just having a full career at the Division I level.
Macy Short into serve. She's played 25 of 92 sets this season for BYU. A tip there. Katie Corelli up to 6 kills this afternoon.
And Corelli being one of those players we've said this whole match, she has to find ways to get points. And I think she's doing a great job of finding the middle of the court, hitting that sharp cross shot, off shots to the left front, just really trying to take out key defenders.
Overpass, and Pohl responds. Houston served much better in set 2 versus set 1, and they'll hope to carry that here into set 3.
And serving is the difference maker for Houston. When they put on that pressure on serve receive, it creates opportunities for them at the net, like that last point with Addison Pohl.
Back-to-back overpasses, back-to-back kills for Addison Pohl.
And look at Pohl there, just getting up, seeing that swing there, pretty seamless. I mean, overall, I think she is really starting to develop her game and just get comfortable as, a Big 12 middle.
That's back-to-back overpasses from the back row, and it gets her again here. First touch is from Billiter. Off the hands, another kill for Claire Little.
And I like seeing Claire Little there on that swing. You can see she didn't get back for a full approach, but overall just kind of waiting, seeing where that set's going to come from Bauer, but still being able to place the ball well and tool off Corelli there.
Alex Bauer into serve. She's in problem-solving mode, according to her head coach, Heather Olmstead. Consistent energy. They're asking her to try not to do too much, both in setting and serving. Cook back for Corelli down the line. Houston has some swagger. They may have lost set 2, but I think growing in confidence as this match wears along.
Yeah, and I'd say bringing that momentum in. I mean, we see Barkat Ramon, she's subbed in now. I really would love to see Annie Cook getting her established in the middle. I think she is one to really provide energy and feed off that energy when she's in and at the net.
Addison Pohl back to serve. She had 2 kills on 2 overpasses from BYU early in this set. Deep serve sails a bit. Georgiadis returns for Pohl. And Claire Little will serve. Third in the Big 12, 3.9 kills per set. Barkat Ramon does get involved. She goes off speed, but she has another kill. 4 on 8 swings today.
And like we said, getting Ramon involved early on in this third set, really just making those BYU blockers know they have to focus on her before they release out to Grieve. But I think also, too, it's just giving Grieve a break. I mean, she was doing great into that second set, and I think just spreading out those swings across the net for Houston is a good thing.
Rebecca Rockeson entered the fray in the second set. Houston switched from a 5-1 system to a 6-2 system with 2 setters. Rockeson joining Annie Cook. Cook gets a break here as Shamidas returns. Officials looking at the monitor. Maybe checking on the substitution pattern for Houston.
And I like to Coach Olmstead taking this as a coaching moment. I mean, I've been kind of watching her throughout this whole match, and I like how she's vocal, but vocal in a good way on the sideline, really just providing that feedback, providing any little bit of knowledge she can, what she's observing to her, players on the court, and just helping coach throughout the whole match.
9 different lineups this season, 12 different starters, but the same starting lineup 7 of the last 9. You see her numbers, fastest coach to 200 wins in Division I history. Best winning percentage in women's volleyball history. And trying to stay on top. It's a shifting landscape in the NIL era. And BYU now members of the Big 12. Hard to stay on top. It's hard in any sport. BYU is trying to do just that.
Yeah, I mean, we talked with, Coach Rare in Houston. We talked with even Utah, Beth Lanier on Thursday as far as, just the landscape changing, and you've got different opponents, and Coach Olmstead touched on that too as far as, adjusting to those opponents. First time here in Houston playing in the Fertitta Center, different venues, different crowds that you're getting used to, and so overall it is a challenge for each team in this Big 12 conference.
BYU's second most wins in women's volleyball history, trailing Only Nebraska. They leapfrogged UCLA on the all-time list last season. The rotation sorted out. Olmsted checking with the official. And Houston has Dalton, Rockison, Georgiadis in the back row, Shamitis, Grieve, and Pohl in the front row. BYU cruised in set one to a 25-16 win. Back and forth affair in set two. BYU outlasted Houston 29-27. Set to go. Rockison set to serve at 5-3. Beautiful serve and an ace for Rockison.
And I'd say a big ace, you know, getting that on Lulu, the libero for Utah, for BYU, as far as, you know, just putting that right in front of her. Definitely a tough serve to get to in serve receive.
Little first contact. It's an overpass. Grieve off the hands. Shamitis down the line. Just out. A point for BYU. Interesting serve receive. They position 5 of their players in that back corner for Rockison.
Yeah, and I'd say, you know, kind of just giving Rockison a different look in the serve receive as far as who is she going to try to serve at or in between those seams. But overall, I think BYU's doing a great job of just bouncing back and getting that side out.
Shamitis off the hands. Through the block from Ellie Mortensen. Let's go back down to Brooke Kirchhoffer.
Yeah, there was a little bit of miscommunication to start this third set for BYU. We saw their head coach, Heather Olmsted, bring them together to have a little bit of a beat and talk over that miscommunication. And then when they came out of that huddle, Lulu Ulave was speaking with Claire Little off to the side saying, hey, that's my fault. And here we've seen they've come back together since.
You ever experienced moments like those as a player?
Yeah, I mean, as a libero, you always want to just kind of be the lead in that communication in the backcourt. And any time where it's between you and another player, you know, the libero is expected to take up more of that space. And at times it's just kind of making that clear, hey, next time I'm going to take that ball, or, you know, even directing on the backcourt. So I think great job by Lulu there.
Billitzer back to serve, the Texan from McKinney in her third season. She's played every set this year for BYU. And there's a miscommunication on Houston's side. Grieve stepped in front of Kate Georgiadis. That's what you want when you serve. You want the defense to have to make a decision.
And you can tell that BYU is really targeting these Houston pins in serve receive. They want them to try and take these passes first.
Serving away from Georgiadis. Dalton, heavy arm off the chest of Ululave. Heavy arm Shamitis. Both these teams swinging away. It's a kill for Ellie Mortensen.
And I'd say, too, BYU slowly building back that energy and momentum. You know, I think the beginning of this third set, both teams just a little slow. I expected a little more momentum coming off of that second set. But overall, BYU really started.
BYU. Slide play effective most of the day from Shersty Strong.
And Strong working hard on that slide. We saw her kind of going back to back there, you know, unsuccessful that first one, placing that tip, but then pulling off that swing there. But overall, I think BYU noticing they got to get their middles going, and the slide has been effective for them through the first 2 sets.
Strong, no errors on 12 swings plus 7 kills. She's hitting .583. There's a service error from Hannah Billitzer. Strong, what a great pickup from St. Mary's College. They faced her a few seasons ago in the West Coast Conference, second team All-WC 2 years ago. Dalton first to react off the setter Bauer. And Pull back to serve. Tied at 9 in set 3. Houston now even with BYU, 33 kills apiece, but Houston has 10 more attacking errors, and BYU has 6 more blocks. That sailed just a bit. Good read from the freshman libero, Lulu Uluave. Pole goes to the bench. Rockeson, Ramon, Shamitis in the front row for Houston. Georgiadis, Grieve, Dalton in the back row. Ellie Mortensen serves. That's an error. Good read from Grieve. Each team with 10 service errors today. Annie Cook back to serve. What a career she's had. Setter of the year in the American as a freshman 4 years ago. Has bounced between a 5'1" and a 6'2" throughout her career. She's in a 6'2" today. Corelli off the high hands. Dump from Cook. Did it hit the floor? It did. The back official called it. I think that's the good call. It hit the hand and the floor on its way up.
Yeah, I mean, definitely emergency play there, sprawling out Billiter, but overall, you know, the ball just hitting that floor right before she was able to get to it.
Good effort from Hannah Billiter of McKinney Boyd High School here in Texas. Cook tried the dump, and it worked. Knuckling serve from Cook. One hand pickup from Georgiadis, but she cannot quite keep it in play. We're going to miss those. There'll be a new libero next year, but we've almost gotten used to the high quality of Kate Georgiadis in the libero jersey.
I'm sure you know that incoming 2025, you know, DS libero that Rares recruit is definitely paying attention, taking notes. She knows what this Houston crowd is used to seeing.
Over 5 digs per set for 17 for Houston, Kate Georgiadis. Ramon finds the back corner. Houston needs to continue to get her more involved.
And I like to, even for Ramon, we haven't seen just like seamless connection on the ball, those big swings just to rip out of the middle, but she's still working hard, finding ways to get those points, and I think as long as her and Annie Cook are still communicating, connecting there, she's going to eventually find it here in this third set.
Good serve from Dalton. Fast offense, it's just in on the sideline. Brielle Kemavor, sophomore middle from Bristow, Virginia.
And I'd say Kemavor for BYU has been a little quiet, you know, late in the second set here into this third set. So getting her involved is definitely key for them.
Bauer back to serve. Cook, Corelli. Up from Uluave. Little swings away. She's up to 12 kills.
And I'd say, too, Claire Little showing no signs of slowing down. She is here to take this match.
A dozen kills, 35 swings. She's hitting .314 with 5 digs and a block. Bauer serves. Grieve tips it for the back corner. They're going to call that a double. It was a back set with spin on it. The double is still called if it goes over the net. It did that time from Katie Pryor.
Yeah, I'd say there, you know, that set from Katie Pryor was direct over to Corelli, and Corelli taking advantage of it, even though that double call was called first.
Yeah, the coaches say if there's spin on our side, it doesn't matter. If there's spin on the other side, the ref can call it. That time, the up official called the double contact from Kate Pryor. Little is tough to slow down. Living up to the hype entering the week. Nearly 4 kills per set, third most in the Big 12. Freshman season cut short due to injury last year. Now a sophomore back to serve. 13 kills, hitting .333 today. Service error. Ella Wendell checks in for the first time. Met her dad on Wednesday before the match against Utah. Her dad is German. She played tennis growing up. Ella's mom is a volleyball coach. A walk-on. The big role in the middle for Houston this season. Number 14 in the black and red. Rockison back to serve. They use the same system with 5 players near this back corner, just beyond the 10-foot line. Little takes charge. Down the line, that's a big point for BYU because Rockison can go on scoring runs. BYU gets to 15 first, and they do it behind Cher Strong, the 5th year from Pennsylvania, using the slide all day. But Barquette Ramon keeping her team in it. She's been very effective. Angela Grieve with the swing. It was touched. It's a point for Houston. And let's go back down to Brooke Kirchhoffer.
Yeah, during that last timeout, BYU kept it brief, highlighting just a few points, saying playing scrappy defense, doing a good job, and ultimately, point by point, let's fight.
A young team leading 2-0 in Houston. A tough set, but a good kill from Strong. It was tight in the net for Bauer, and the freshman made it look easy.
And I'd say for BYU, their middles definitely are fighting here today. I mean, they've been quiet, but then they've come back, and we see Strong doing that right here down the middle.
Hannah Billeter, over 30 in air. They continue to target that back row. Sometimes it lands inside the baseline, sometimes it sails.
I definitely think BYU, with their serving, they're trying to make the Houston serve receive think and just question, do I try to take this ball, not getting the best touch on it since they are deeper serves, but overall just airing out more.
Wendell serves for Houston. Slide play there for Strong. If we look at the hitting percentage for Houston, set by set, 0 in set 1, 214 in set 2, 273 in set 3. Replay there of Strong skill. I think switching to the 6-2 system has worked for Coach Rare.
Yeah, I think, not only providing that block on the right side, but overall we saw it just kind of build back offensively in that second set. The pins, Grieve really getting fired up, finding her rhythm there. Dalton providing swings. I think moving Shemitis to the right side was a good move as well. And just everybody kind of feeding off each other. But I still think here they're battling back and forth, unable to really just kind of take this lead and run with it.
Shemitis started the season as a right side. They moved her to the left when the 5-1 system was deployed, beginning with the Baylor match. She's back on the right side, as you pointed out, her more natural position in this 6-2 system.
And I'd say even though the right side is, her quote-unquote true position, she was doing a great job on the outside early on this match, just finding ways, working around that block, ripping off some bigger swings. And like I said, that's what Coach Rare wants to see from Shemitis in today's match.
Cook down the line. She loves that serve right down the line. And she loves that swing. Claire Little finds the back corner.
And I like that little smile from Claire Little after that swing. I mean, I think she knows she's having a great match today. She's really just being smart, and that's what Coach Olmstead, mentioned to us as far as working on how to carry this heavy load, but how do you develop your skill set and just work in those different shots and placement on your swings.
Macy Short serves. Dalton is blocked. First block in a long time for BYU, and it's the setter Alex Bauer combining with Brielle Kemavor.
And big celebration there from Bauer, which rightfully so. I mean, Dalton being a towering outside and Bauer just timing it perfectly, getting her hands sealed over the net.
Cook for Corelli. Block touch BYU. Ramon missed connection with Annie Cook. BYU now leads 20-17.
And like we said, it's those little points there where BYU is going to take advantage and run off here in this third set.
BYU is extremely low error today. BYU has swung 91 times, only committed 6 errors. BYU hitting .385 as a team.
And I'd say just a very efficient offense, and that's what we talk about, them kind of having this, sophomore, freshman offense. We're going to see a lot more of them over the next few seasons in the Big 12, and I think slowly as they develop, they get that off-season training in the spring, bring in, additional players with their 2025 recruiting class. They're going to be a dominant force in the Big 12.
BYU winding down a 3-match road trip. Upcoming schedule: Cincinnati, West Virginia at home, at Kansas and Kansas State to wind down the Big 12 schedule. No Big 12 tournaments. Entering the day, third best opponents hitting percentage in the Big 12 at 188. Houston's hitting below that today at 170. And BYU's second most blocks in the Big 12, averaging 2.5 blocks per set. BYU has 3 blocks per set and counting today. Let's go back down to Brooke Kirchhoffer.
Yeah, high energy and very positive from the U of H bench during that last time out. Said big push, energy and effort has to be there. But from head coach David Rory, he said, just stop worrying about the score and play free. That's when we're our best.
Good stuff. Down 3 out of the timeouts. Dalton kept it in play. Corelli seeking the back corner. Missed touch there for Macy Short. Caught in between as she stepped in front of the setter, Bauer.
And great out-of-system play there by Houston. I mean, overall, Dalton getting that touch. Kay Georgiades sitting it back across to Corelli, and Corelli finding a way to get that last point.
Lily Barron returning. One of Houston's best servers. She had an ace earlier. She averages half an ace per set. Freshman from Ohio. And that's just really good volleyball. The first pass wasn't perfect. The set was excellent there. Surprised they went to the middle off that first contact.
And I think, too, that just goes to show with Bauer. I mean, even if you have a 2-option pass, if you have a great setter who's able to feed your middle and Kim Avor there ready and up, you might as well. And that's what Houston has to be ready for, blocking-wise, to get hands on.
Missed first contact from Grieve. It's an ace. So out of the timeout, Houston got a side out, but now 2 straight points for BYU. Another timeout for Houston. It's a tough serve to handle. Not many lefty servers. Houston has no lefties on its team. So when a lefty setter like Alex Bauer goes back there, it's something that they're not quite as used to seeing.
And I think, too, BYU doing a great job of just targeting these Houston pins when they are in serve receive. They want to make them think about passing first, but they also know they are not the top passer back there. They've done a great job of staying away from Kay Georgiades. And I think Angela Grieve just needing to find a way to reset her composure in serve receive and at least being able to get a 2-option pass off of these serves.
Let's look at some of the most important hitters for HI. Claire Little, sophomore from Winchester, California, taking on the 5th-year senior from Jupiter, Florida. 14 kills for Little at .333. Grieve hitting .280 with 9 kills.
And I said the
double-double. She already has 11 digs. Houston must rally. They dropped a heartbreaker to BYU in set 2, 29-27. Houston had 2 separate set points with a serve, but could not put BYU away. Now they'll try and come back from a 22-18 deficit. Alex Bauer was first-team All-State 4 times in high school in Idaho. Tough serve. Grieve does swing away, and she finds the back corner.
And that's a great shot by Grieve. We talk about rebounding, coming back into it. Targeting that back left corner is always an open spot and a definitely tough spot for BYU to defend.
Another double-double for Angela Grieve. An attacking error from Brielle Kemavor. Timeout BYU. Houston back within 2. Houston is out of timeouts. BYU with 1 remaining. Kemavor leads the Big 12, 1.4 blocks per set. bided her time before getting this opportunity. And our head coach, Heather Olmstead, told us Kemavor hasn't scratched the surface yet, has a bright future in Provo.
And I think, too, that's what you want out of the middle, or any of your attackers for that matter. If you know you've got so much more to develop, that's just opportunities for the offseason, for the spring, you know, even throughout the season. How has she evolved from a player from preseason to end of conference now? And so I think Kemavor, if they've only scratched the surface, who knows what we're going to see from her as a middle next year in the Big 12.
Good crowd on hand. A big crowd, over 2,000 were here for the Texas Tech match last Saturday. I think a similar number. Very good crowds in Houston this season.
Yeah, I'd say Houston, you know, drawing in from that club volleyball, high school volleyball, you know, atmosphere, crowd, having younger teams, younger players come out and see them. And, you know, I think we see quite a bit of blue. BYU bringing in, you know, their fans as well down here in Houston.
Georgiana's preparing to serve. Back down to Brooke Kirchhoffer.
Yeah, I was just listening in on the BYU timeout break, and with so much youth on their team, one of the biggest messages was, do you know your job, do your job, and just stay locked in as we go on, and said, let's just go on a run here and stay with it.
Another tough serve from Georgiadis. It came off the arm of Kemavor. BYU serve receive slipping here at the end of set 3.
And I'd say rare error by Little there. I mean, we really have not seen her swing into the net like that throughout this match.
BYU as a team, just the 8th attacking error on 96 swings today. Little off the hands. Tip from Grieve. Houston asking for a lift on its bench. Georgiadis kept it off the floor. Heavy arm from Little. Houston's left that hole a few times today, and Little has often found it.
And like we said, Little just going up, not scared to swing, trying to find those open shots on the court. And Bauer just going back to her, knowing she'll be able to close out these final points for BYU.
23-21. Little back. Katie Corelli with an important kill. Really good first contact in serve receive from Juliana Dalton.
I'd even say she's swinging with a vengeance now. She wants to stay in this set and push this to a 4-set match.
Rebecca Rockison into serve. We'll see how BYU sets up. They put 4 near that back corner. 4 options. Little often steps up for these. Instead, the libero, Uluave. Down the line. It was not touched. It's an attacking error. And Houston has come back to tie it up 23-23.
And I'd say, honestly, the energy picking up in the crowd again between both teams. It's kind of setting up like we saw at the end of that second set. A bit of back and forth battle, but who is going to be able to really pull out and close out this third set?
Mortensen with the error. BYU had 6 errors all day until the last 5 or 6 points, and they have committed 3 errors. Still hitting .340 as a team. Houston's been resilient. BYU cruised in that first set, 25-16, but it's been very even sets 2 and 3.
And I'd say, too, here in this third set, you know, BYU taking the lead, but most of the time back and forth with Houston. Houston just trying to get their bearings offensively, creating that energy, creating that momentum again. And here we are. And, you know, Houston, I think, needing to find a way to really push out these next couple points to push this to a 4th set.
Houston struggled, hit 0 in the first set. They switched to a 6-2 system with Rockison joining Annie Cook early in set 2. Houston hit .236 in that third set, hitting .281 in the third. Incremental improvement on offense from Houston. Where will Rockison serve? Will she continue to attack that foursome for BYU?
I think, at the end of the day, she wants to be able to target these pins. You've got Little in the right back, and you've got Mortensen in that left back. And I'd say you want to take out Mortensen, so she's got to think about passing first before she can release to swing.
Rockeson off the tape. Down the line. And a kill. Ellie Mortensen. Match point now for BYU. Mortensen's 13 kill on 25 swings, and now it's the freshman libero, Lulu Uluave, set to serve. Gree first touch. Shamitis, heavy arm, and it's 24 all.
And great job by Rockeson there. A bit of a tighter set, but still able to get it back to Shamitis. And like we said, Shamitis doing a great job today, coming in with these key big swings, getting those points when the Cougars need it.
Very good set from Shamitis, or from Rockeson under pressure for Shamitis. Block touch, Houston. Tight set, tip. Up from Wendell. Joust. BYU takes the points. 4 contacts from Houston.
And great hustle there by Kate Georgiadis. We talk about these late in the set scramble plays, but Georgiadis always there trying to get that touch off, keep that ball alive, and Houston trying to get a point and finish out that rally.
Coach Rare challenging this. It might be a de facto timeout. There's no timeouts left for Houston. He had the challenge card. He might as well use it. So he may be challenging, hey, did we really touch it 4 times?
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely a key point in the match right now as far as getting some feedback to your players, getting into that high energy moment again, but you want to keep your composure as a team, both sides. But Houston really trying to take advantage of this momentum and run with it where they can.
Now let's count these touches. So 1 there off the hand, kept up by Wendell. There from Georgiadis. At least they tried.
Yeah, I'd say, your assessment's right as far as just having a break here, getting some feedback to your team, reset, need to side out in this point.
Officials gave it an honest look. Match point for BYU. Hannah Billiter back to serve. 25-24. Dalton. Off the hands, up from Georgiadis. Slide play. Another kill, Shersty Strong. And BYU an efficient offense all afternoon. They come to Houston and they'll leave with a sweep.
And I'd say BYU just staying composed late in the second set, late in the third set. Houston putting up a great battle with them, but overall BYU finding ways to win out those rallies and really just terminate at the net, like you mentioned on that slide play, and Mortensen and Little on the outside.